بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So today inshallah we'll start with the next portion of الدروس المهمة لعامة الأمة, important lessons for every Muslim, by Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah, with Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, his explanations. And last week we did the Aqsam Tawheed, the different categories of Tawheed, the three parts of Tawheed, Allah's oneness. And the next portion is the opposite of Tawheed, which is the opposite of Tawheed, Shirk. Tawheed is making Allah one, the oneness of Allah, and the Shirk is to put partners with Allah Jalla wa Ala. But first there's a hadith that is to be related to this, because if we know Tawheed, we say that's the most important thing, that's why we were created, then why will we learn about Shirk? And there's a hadith of Hudhayfa that the ulama, the scholars, derive a principle from, a hadith. And Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he came as the Sahaba, the companions were doing, he asked the Prophet ﷺ a question, a series of questions. And the first question is the shahid, is the point of mention in the hadith. And the hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari, which is the second most authentic book after the Quran. And Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, he said, كان الناس يسألون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير وكنت أسأله عن الشر مخافة أن يدركني. He said that, Hudhayfa, he said that the people used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the good things, the khayr, everything that was good, the good things that would happen. He said, but me, myself, I used to ask the Prophet ﷺ about the shar, the evil. And then he explained why he would ask about the evil, not just for the sake of asking the question. He said, out of fear, I would ask about the evil things out of fear of falling into that evil. Hudhayfa, radiallahu anhu, out of fear of falling into the evil, or fear that that evil would touch him in some way, that he would fall into something. So therefore, he would ask the Prophet ﷺ about the evil things. So, Sheikh Abdul Razak says in the explanation that the ulama derive a principle from this portion of the hadith, because after that, he went on to ask the Prophet ﷺ a series of questions. That we came from Jahiliyyah, we came from ignorance and kufr. Allah guided us to Islam. Is there going to be this khayr? Is there going to be some evil after this khayr of Islam? Qala na'am. The Prophet ﷺ said, yes, some evil is going to come. To the end of the hadith. But the beginning, to even ask about the evil, to even come and ask about the evil, the ulama said that this shows that it's not enough to know the obligatory matters, al-wajibat, and to know the mustahabbat, and to know the recommended matters, or the sunnah. What's the sunnah? It's not enough just to know the sunnah. It's not enough just to know what obedience is, but to know the opposite of those things. Why? Because Allah commanded us to stay away from, for example, shirk, putting partners with him. So how does a person stay away from shirk if they don't know what shirk is? How does a person stay away from, as we've been warned by the Prophet ﷺ, to stay away from bid'ah, innovation, making up things or coming with something new in the religion? How does a person stay away from bid'ah if they don't know what bid'ah is, if they don't know what innovation is? How does a person stay away from a sin if a person doesn't know what the sins are? So they say that it's not enough just to know what's obligatory, but they need to know the opposite. what's haram. So you need to know the halal and the haram. We need to know the halal because we've been commanded to carry out the obligations, and we need to know the haram so that we don't fall into them. We need to know the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ because we've been commanded to follow the sunnah. And we need to know what is bid'ah, innovation, because we've been commanded to stay away from innovation. So it's a must to know both sides, not just one. And a person can't know a shirk, or they can't just know tawheed unless they have to know shirk also, not to fall into it. Can't know the sunnah only. How are you going to know if a person falls into bid'ah? No person is safe. As he's going to mention, no one is safe from falling into a shirk. Nobody is safe. Not that a person was, they have some superpower. That they just, it's from tawfiq, from Allah first of all. That Allah gives a person the success to be able to stay away from a shirk. And the same thing for bid'ah, innovation. Nobody's safe. Nobody is safe. Bani Adam, khata'un. As it comes in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, all of mankind make mistakes. They sin, but the best are those who repent. So nobody is safe from bid'ah, innovating in the religion, falling into an innovation or practicing innovation. But you got to know what is innovation, firstly. Especially if you're going to call somebody an innovator. If you're going to call somebody an innovator, you have to know what is innovation. Number one, what is innovation? Is this person himself, is he innovation? Or did he practice some form of innovation? You have to know what is innovation in order to stay away from it. And the same thing as they say about sins, and specifically they say the major sins. How do you stay away from major sins if you don't know what the major sins are? And the books that the ulama gathered dealing with or mentioning the major sins. So Hudayfa radiallahu anhu would ask that question to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam out of fear of falling into evil, and the ulama said exactly that principle can be derived from that statement of Hudayfa, that it's not enough to know one side of the coin, as we say, not know the other side of the coin. Not just to throw the other side of the coin at people, but out of fear that we don't fall into that evil. So this chapter, he starts off mentioning the aqsam al-shirk, the different categories of a shirk. Putting partners with Allah is broken down into different categories. Some of the ulama break them into 2 categories, some break them into 3. At the end of the day, the maqsood, the purpose or the intent behind the 2 breakdowns is the same. So he says, بِاعْتِبَارِ حَجْمِهِ مِنْ حَيْثُ الْكِبَرُ وَالصِّغَرُ. With regards to, as we say, size, but not here. But we'll say size. You have 3 categories. Akbar, Asghar, wa Khafi. Major shirk, minor or smaller shirk, and Khafi, hidden shirk, hidden. And as I said, this is one taqsim, this is one breakdown. Some of the ulama break it down into 2, just major and minor. So it says, وَالشِّرْكُ الْأَكْبَرُ وَالْأَصْغَرِ يَخْتَلِفَانِ مِنْ حَيْثِ الْحَدِّ وَمِنْ حَيْثِ الْحُكْمِ. Major shirk and minor shirk, they differ with regards to the definition of major shirk and the definition of minor shirk, and with regards to the hukm, the ruling on the person who commits major shirk. That category. The person who falls into that category, what's the ruling on him? The ruling is different than the person who falls into a form of minor shirk. And he's not going to go in total detail in this beginning portion, but he's going to mention some detail. And there's books on tawheed and the shirk in totality that go into extensive detail of exactly what are the different things specifically But here he mentions the definition. He says, وَأَمَّا الشِّرْكُ الْأَكْبَرُ Major shirk. فهو تسوية غير الله بالله في شيء من حقوقه. He says it is to make someone equal, someone other than Allah. Make someone or something equal to Allah, right? With regards to the hukuk, with regards to the rights of Allah. So we're talking about the rights of Allah. A person takes, could be a person, could be an object, whatever it is, he takes something or someone else and they raise that person to the status that only Allah deserves to be praised or worshipped. For example, some people raise people. They raise, specifically they make raise dead people who are known to be righteous men. They were known to be shuyukh, sheikhs when they were living. They die. People take them and they raise them to a level where they fall into worshiping that person now. And we know worship is only for Allah. So he says here, min hukukihi. They raise them with regards to the rights of Allah. So how do we know what the rights of Allah are? The rights of Allah. There's a clear hadith when the Prophet ﷺ told us the rights of Allah. And this is important because it goes to a person raising somebody and making them equal to Allah, wherein Allah has no equal in that category. Nah.
Was it the hadith of, I believe it was Abi Hurairah or Abdullah bin Mas'ud, radiallahu anhu, in which they were riding, and the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam had asked, what is the greatest haqq upon, what is the haqq that Allah has upon us, is that we do not worship other than Him.
Sahih. That's it. G. That's the hadith. Even though it's not Abu Hurairah, it's Mu'adh bin Jabal. Mu'adh bin Jabal. And this hadith says, عن معاذ بن جبل قال كنت رديف النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام على حمار. He said, I was riding in back of the Prophet ﷺ on a donkey. And there's a lot of benefit in this hadith, but the point here is the next statement. He said, I was riding behind the Prophet ﷺ on a donkey, riding together. فقال لي, he said to Mu'adh ﷺ, the Prophet asked Mu'adh عليه الصلاة والسلام, يا معاذ أتدري ما حق الله على العباد? Do you know, Ya Mu'adh, do you know the rights of Allah over His servants, over the creation? What are the rights of Allah? Because he says here in the definition, a person puts someone or something equal to Allah with regards to Allah's rights. Min hukukihi. So a person got to know, well, what are Allah's rights so that I don't put anyone or raise anyone above to the point where I made shirk with Allah. If that specific thing is supposed to be solely for Allah, then I have to make sure that I know those things so that I don't put anyone else in that place where they become, or I put them on the same level as Allah Jalla wa Ala with regards to praise or any other thing. So he said, Ya Mu'adh, أتدري ما حق الله على العباد? Do you know the rights of Allah over His servants? وَمَا حَقُّ الْعِبَادِ عَلَى اللَّهِ? And do you know the rights of the servants over Allah Jalla wa Ala? قال معاذ قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. He said, Allah and His Messenger know best. Mu'adh. So the Prophet ﷺ said, قال حق الله على العباد أن يعبدوه ولا يشركوا به شيئا. That the right of Allah over His servants is that they worship Him and that they do not put partners with Him concerning anything. They do not put any partners with Allah. This is from Allah's right. So now the next thing is, you have to know, well, what is worship? To make sure that we don't put partners with Allah in our worship. And we mentioned the definition of worship last week. The definition of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Ismun Jami'un, a comprehensive term. It covers a lot. Everything, كل ما يحبه الله ويرضاه من أقوال وأفعال everything that Allah loves and is pleased with, whether it's a statement or an action, whether that statement or action is apparent or is not apparent. So ibadah can cover a lot of things. Worship can cover a lot of things. Everything that Allah is pleased with and that Allah loves is considered worship. Everything that Allah is pleased with and that Allah loves is considered worship. So now the question is, well, how do we know if Allah loves something? How do we know Allah is pleased with something? If Allah commands us, as the other man said, if Allah commands us with something, He commands us to do something that we know is pleasing to Allah. Allah is not going to command us to do something that's not pleasing to Him. If Allah praises, He might praise the people who have a certain quality. We know that quality is pleasing to Allah. Right? So we have to know what worship is. So if a person, in any form of worship, they make someone or something equal to Allah, then this is Shirk al-Akbar. He says, فَمَنْ سَوَّى غَيْرَ اللَّهِ بِاللَّهِ فِي شَيْءٍ مِّنْ حُقُوقِ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ اتَّخَذَهُ شَرِيكًا وَنِدًّا مَعَ اللَّهِ. So when a person does this, they raise a person and they put a person equal. They make him an equal to Allah with those things regards to the rights of Allah. They have taken and put a partner. They made a partner now with Allah. They made someone or something other that has no right. That has no right for that worship. And they have given them a portion of their worship. And there are many different definitions of shirk. You might hear other words, tandid, which brings the same meaning. So he says, فَالشِّرْكُ هُوَ جَعْلُ الْأَنْدَادِ مَعَ اللَّهِ. Shirk is to put an equal or a partner with Allah Jalla wa Ala. And this is why it says, Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Shu'ara, He says, وَلِهَذَا ذَكَرَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْكُفَّارِ. Allah mentioned about the disbelievers, أَنَّهُمْ إِذَا دَخَلُوا النَّارَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَقُولُونَ. That the disbelievers, when they enter the hellfire, Yawm al-Qiyamah, that they're saying this in the Surah Al-Shu'ara, ayats 97 and 98, Tallahi, inna kunna lafi dhalalim mubin. They said, they swore by Allah. They will swear by Allah, Tallahi. That's Tallahi with the ta is another way of saying, we usually say Wallahi, but there are other ways of saying, I'm swearing by Allah other than Wallahi, Tallahi, Billahi. And here it says, Tallahi, they swore by Allah. Inna kunna fi dhalalim mubin. That we were clearly astray. We were clearly astray. This is what they say when they enter the hellfire Yawm al-Qiyamah. We were clearly astray. إِذْ نُسَوِّيكُمْ بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Talking about those guys that they worshipped, that we made you, and they use the word, and the word is used, نُسَوِّيكُمْ, that we made you equal to our Lord, the Lord of the heavens and the earths, رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, the Lord of creation. So this is what they said when they entered the hellfire. We were clearly astray. What do? We made you all, those guys that they worship other than Allah, equal to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And this is in Surah Al-Shu'ara, ayahs 97 and 98. طيب. Another ayah, which is in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 165. قال تعالى ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا. And from the people are those who take partners with Allah. They take partners with Allah. يحبونهم كحب الله. They love those who they took as partners to Allah. كحب الله. As they love Allah. The same level. On the same level. Their love for those other gods or other things is the same as their love for Allah. And love of Allah is a form of worship. Hub. Love of Allah is a form of worship. Qala, he says, Musawiyan li hubbillah. They made their love for other things the same as their love for Allah Jalla wa Ala. And it comes in another hadith that none of you truly believes until the Prophet ﷺ is more beloved to him than his children, his families. So to make it equal, or to put a sharik, to give somebody or something a right that they have no right to with regards to the rights of Allah, which is all forms of worship. All forms of worship are to be sincerely for Allah Jalla wa'ala. So, he says after that, he mentions another form, he says, Shirk or Tandeed. A Tandeed. Sometimes a Shirk is called a Tandeed, taken and equal. Nibdan, as was mentioned in the ayat before that. طيب. So he says, وَالْوَاجِبُ عَلَى الْمُسْلِمِ أَنْ يَخَافَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ خَوْفًا عَظِيمًا. It's upon the Muslim that the Muslim should fear falling in the shirk. Nobody should feel safe because they've been Muslim, however long they've been Muslim. They shouldn't feel safe that they can't make a mistake and fall into a shirk. And he brings an example here, or he brings something to think about. He says, أَلَسْتَ تَرَى فِي بَعْضِ النَّاسِ أنه يتخذ لنفسه حمية ينتمد فيها انتظام دقيق لأطعمة عديدة مباحة ليست محرمة. He said, don't we see some of the people, and they're real specific. They're specific. They take real strong measures with regards to the food and the diet that they eat. They go to serious measures to make sure they eat the right things to protect their bodies from, some type of harm. And those things, it's not that the food is haram, that you can't eat it. The food might be mubah. It's permissible to eat the food. But they go to serious measures to make sure that their diet to protect their body. He says either to protect their body from gaining weight or from diseases, min al-Thamaraat, or kasal, maybe some things might make a person lazy, so they say, I gotta stay away from this. Right? He says, and they stay upon this, وَيَنْتَظِمُوا فِي هَذِهِ الْحِمْيَةِ خَوْفَ الْعَاقِبَةِ. And they stick to this diet out of fear of the result if they don't stick to it. So if I come off this diet, I might gain an extra 10 pounds. Or they told me, like we do, a lot of us, once they tell us you're on the border, you borderline diabetic, we tighten up, right? After they tell us, they tighten up, right? Out of fear of, if I don't tighten up, if I don't fix my diet, out of fear of what's going to happen. So he says, and he goes on mentioning the seriousness that people take in their food diets. He says, it doesn't have more right that we pay attention, that we don't fall into shirk, that we don't fall into something, as he's going to mention, the danger, how dangerous it is. How dangerous it is. He says, أَيَكُونَ حَالُ الْمَرْءِ أَنْ يُعْنَى عِنَايَةٍ دَقِيقَةٍ بِالْحِمْيَ مِنْ بَعْضِ الْأَطْعِمَةِ طَيِّبَةٍ. Is it that a person, he stays and he gives so much importance to his food diet, even though the food may be permissible to eat, but he doesn't protect himself min al-dhunub, he doesn't protect himself and take those same cautious measures and staying away from sins, وَخَوْفِ الْعَاقِبَتِهَا, and the danger of sins, and that he will have to stand يَقِفُ أَمَامَ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Shouldn't a person take those same serious measures when it comes to those things? And he doesn't لَا يَحْمِي نَفْسَهُ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ الذُّنُوبِ, and he doesn't protect himself from the greatest sin, الَّذِي هُوَ الشِّرْكُ بِاللَّهِ, which is shirk, the partners with Allah. A person goes to serious, and we in the serious right now. We're in the serious health kick. That's the thing. But are we that serious about staying away from sins? Allahumma musta'an. So now he goes into khuturat al-shirk, the danger of shirk. And he says, whoever knows what shirk is, and they know the the danger of it. He says, يكفي في ذلك أن تقرأ قول الله تبارك وتعالى في سورة النساء. He said, it's enough for a person to read in Surah An-Nisa where Allah mentions in two different ayats. Allah said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. That Allah says in the Quran, in Surah An-Nisa, more than once, that indeed Allah does not forgive shirk, but He forgives anything other than shirk, which is less than shirk, for whoever He wills to forgive him. He says, in this thing, this shirk that is not forgiven, He says, هذا في حق من مات على ذلك. Allah doesn't forgive shirk for the person who dies upon that. Not for the person they might have been upon shirk and then they repented from shirk while they were living, but the person who dies upon that. And Allah mentioned that more than once in Surah An-Nisa. Ayah 48 and Ayah 116. That Allah does not forgive shirk, but He forgives other sins that are less than a shirk. And He says in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, من مات وهو يدعو من دون الله ندا دخل النار. And that hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever dies and he's invoking or making dua, praying to other than Allah, he's put someone else or something else in the place, he's made them an equal partner in his dua, in his prayer. Whoever dies doing that, the Prophet ﷺ said, دخل النار. He will enter the hellfire. This is a serious tahdeed, warning. And then the Shaykh says, وَأَوْلُ مَا تَكُونَ النَّارُ لَهُ فِي قَبْرِهِ فَيَكُونُ حَفْرَةً مِنْ حُفَرِ النَّارِ. And the first portion of the hellfire, Allah protect us all from the hellfire. The first portion of the hellfire that a person will taste will be in his grave. So his grave, if the person dies upon that, he says, فَيَكُونُ حَفْرَةً مِنْ حُفَرِ النَّارِ. That his grave will be a ditch from, or a hole from the different holes of the hellfire. He says, as it said in Surah Al Imran, النَّارُ يُعْرَضُونَ عَلَيْهَا غُدُوًّا وَعَشِيًّا. That the hellfire will be upon them in the day and in the night. And it says in the tafsir of Ibn Kathir rahimahullah of that ayat. And that ayat is in Surah Ghafir, ayat 46. فَإِنْ أَرْوَاحَهُمْ تُعْرَضْ عَلَى النَّارِ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً إِلَى قِيَامِ السَّاعَةِ. That their souls, will be brought to the hellfire day and night until the establishment of the Yawm al-Qiyamah, until Yawm al-Qiyamah comes, the person in the grave. And then he goes on talking about the severity of the hellfire. في بيان أن من مات على الشرك والكفر, whoever dies upon putting partners with Allah and disbelieving in Allah, the punishment. And it's important to know all of this so that we know the importance of staying away from it. It says, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَهُمْ نَارُ جَهَنَّمْ. Those who disbelieve, for them is the hellfire. نَارُ جَهَنَّمْ. He says, يعني لَيْسَ لَهُمْ إِلَّا ذَلِكَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ. There's nothing else for them except that Yawm al-Qiyamah. For those who disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger. And then in Surah Fatir, Allah says about the people, Yawm al-Qiyamah, or in the hellfire, لا يقضى عليهم فيموتوا. They'll be in the hellfire and they won't die. وَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِهَا. They won't die, and the punishment in the hellfire won't be lessened. There won't be any takhfif. It won't lighten up. The punishment won't lighten up. Then Allah says, كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي كُلَّ كَفُورٍ. And this is the reward for those who disbelieve. And then our next ayah says, وَهُمْ يَصْطَرِخُونَ فِيهَا رَبَّنَا أَخْرِجَنَا نَعْمَلْ صَالِحًا غَيْرَ الَّذِي كُنَّا نَعْمَلْ. And they will be screaming, this is in Surah Fatir, they will be screaming in the hellfire, "O our Lord, take us out. Take us out. نَعْمَلْ صَالِحًا. We will do righteous actions if you take us out. We'll do what we're supposed to do. We'll do righteous actions. غَيْرَ الَّذِي كُنَّا نَعْمَلْ. Not like we used to do. We don't do what we used to do. Take us out so we'll do righteous actions, not like the stuff that we used to do before." And the Shaykh says, يعني غير الشرك والكفر الذي كنا نعمله في الدنيا. We won't do the shirk. We won't put partners with you like we used to do in the dunya. We won't disbelieve in you like we used to do in the dunya if you take us out. And that is in Surah Fatir. طيب. After that, and he goes on to mention the most severe ayat. He says, قال بعض أئمة التفسير إن أشد آية على المشركين يوم القيامة وهم في النار قول الله جل وعلا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. The most severe ayat. Ask Allah to God, our families too. Understand? The most severe ayat on the people who put partners with Allah in the dunya, Yawm al-Qiyamah. The most severe ayat, وَهُمْ فِي النَّارِ, and they're in the hellfire, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the statement of Allah in Surah An-Naba, عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. Allah says, فَذُوقُوا فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا. So taste the punishment, and we will not increase you in anything except for punishment. So there will be no lessening. The punishment will not be lightened, and this is because of the severity of the shirk, putting partners with Allah and disbelieving in Allah Jalla wa Ala. So then he goes on, he says, all of these things mentioned is istawjib al-khawf min al-shirk. Other things that show us that we need to be aware in that we should have some fear of falling into putting partners with Allah. He says, look at this chapter here. If you look at this here, he says, look at the da'wah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet Ibrahim, as it comes in the Quran. The Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam. He said in the dua that he made in Surah Ibrahim, he said, وَجُنُوبَنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ رَبِّي إِنَّهُنَّ أَضْلَلْنَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, "Oh my Lord, keep me and my offspring far away from worshiping idols." The Prophet Ibrahim, he made dua that Allah will keep him and his offspring away from a shirk. The dua of Ibrahim. فقال إبراهيم التيمي وهو من أئمة السلف, one of the imams of the Salaf, Ibrahim al-Taymi. He said, وَمَنْ يَأْمَنُ الْبَلَاءَ بَعْدَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. And who is safe? Who is safe from falling into or being tested with falling in the shirk after Ibrahim? If Ibrahim alayhi salam wasn't safe from falling in the shirk, and he made dua, then who after him is safe from falling into a shirk? Putting partners with Allah Jalla wa Ala. He said, Ibrahim alayhi salam, وَجُنُوبَنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ اجعلني يا ربي في جانب بعيد عن الأصنام وعن عبادتها. Keep me far away from worshiping other than you, from idols. Keep me far away from them and far away from worshiping them. So how's a person, how do they feel safe from falling into shirk if Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made a dua like this. And then he mentioned after that the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, وَمِن دُعَاءِ نَبِيِّنَا alayhi salatu wasalam الَّذِي كَانَ يُوَاظِبُ عَلَيْهِ كُلَّ صَبَاحٍ وَمَسَاءٍ. The dua of the Prophet that he used to say every day and every night. وهو ثابت في كتاب الأدب المفرد. And the hadith is in the book Al-Adab al-Mufrad. Al-Adab al-Mufrad by, does anybody know Al-Adab al-Mufrad? Imam al-Bukhari. Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah. Imam al-Bukhari has another book besides Sahih al-Bukhari, Al-Adab al-Mufrad. That he used to say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أنه كان يقول 3 مرات إذا أصبح و3 مرات إذا أمسى. That he would say 3 times when he would wake up and 3 times when he would go to sleep. Allahumma inni a'udhu bik min al-kufri wal-faqri. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you. I seek your protection from disbelief and poverty. Allahumma inni a'udhu bik min adhab al-qabr. Oh Allah, I seek your protection from the punishments of the grave. La ilaha illa ant. There is no deity worthy of worship except you. And this is the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And if our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and Ibrahim alayhi salam made dua that Allah protect them from falling into shirk, is no way that we should feel safe as if we're perfect, that we can't make a mistake and fall into this serious sin. And then he brings another dua of the Prophet ﷺ. وَكَانَ أَكْثَرُ دُعَائِهِ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ, as it comes in another hadith, and I think it's on Aisha radiallahu anha, where the Prophet ﷺ said, يَا مُقَلِّبَ الْقُلُوبِ ثَبِّتْ قَلْبِي عَلَى دِينِكَ. The Prophet ﷺ used to say, O turner of the hearts, make my heart firm upon your religion. This is the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. O turner of the hearts, make my heart firm upon your religion. And then he brings the ayat in the Quran, and so did the Al Imran, ayat number 8. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. O our Lord, do not misguide our hearts after you have guided us. There's no way we should feel safe from falling into a shirk, associating partners with Allah or any other sin. Tayyib. He said also, we should show us the importance of why a person should fear falling into shirk. He says, أخبر أنه سيقع في الأمة إخبار على وجه الإنذار والتحذير. That the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, he warned us already, he warned us that some of the ummah will fall into the shirk. So we should ask Allah for his guidance that we're not from those people. He said, قال عليه الصلاة والسلام لا تقوم الساعة حتى, he says that the hour, Yawm al-Qiyamah, will not be established until he mentioned a few things. The second thing he mentioned, he says, وَحَتَّى تَعْبُدُ الْقَبَائِلُ مِنْ أُمَّتِي الْأَوْثَانِ. Until some of the tribes of my ummah worship idols. They fall in the shirk. It's a hadith أخرجه أحمد, Imam Ahmad, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, عن ثوبان وصححه الألباني في الصحيح الجامع. All of those places the hadith is collected, and Imam Shaykh al-Albani said the hadith is authentic. So he said the hour will not be established. Yawm al-Qiyamah won't come until some from the ummah worship idols. Prophecy that the Prophet ﷺ told is going to come. Tayyib. The next thing he says, إخبار النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام أن من الشرك ما هو شرك خفي. He says, also the Prophet ﷺ, he informed us that from shirk is shirk that is hidden shirk. That a person puts partners with Allah in a hidden manner. It's not very clear. It's not as zahir. It might not be as clear as some of the other forms of shirk. Depending on where you are, you might see people worshiping a tree, literally. They're praying to a tree. or they're praying to a tomb, a grave, or they're praying to a dead, you might actually see people doing this. Some things a person might commit an act of shirk that you can't see. Shirk khafi. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام للشرك فيكم أخفى من دبيب النمل. The hadith about there's a form of shirk that is more discreet than the walking of an ant. Then he goes on and says if you were sitting down and an ant were to walk by you, you wouldn't even know that the ant was there. This is not part of the hadith, this is the explanation. If an ant walks by, a person doesn't even know the ant is there. That's how indiscreet an ant moves. There's a form of shirk that is like that. It's so indiscreet that a person doesn't even notice. And then he brings another hadith. And he says, this hadith is he says, maqam al-tahdir is a warning from the Prophet ﷺ. This is a warning. He says, it's a warning from shirk. وَبَيَانْ خَفَائِفِهِ خَفَائِهِ وَوُجُوبِ الْخَوْفِ مِنْهُ. This is a warning in this hadith and a clarification of what is this hidden shirk, and the clarification that is obligatory to stay away from it and to have fear of it. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, he said to the Sahaba, ألا أدلكم على شيء إذا قلتموه أذهب الله عنكم قليل الشرك وكثيره. He said, should I not tell you all something that if you say it, that Allah will keep you far away from shirk. قليله وكثيره. A little bit of shirk or a lot of shirk, we'll say. Major shirk or minor shirk. Allah will keep shirk away from you if you say this. Should I not tell you something that will keep shirk away from you? قالوا, the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them all. قالوا بلى يا رسول الله. Of course, O Messenger of Allah, tell us. What can we say that will keep shirk far away from us? فأرشدهم عليه الصلاة والسلام أن يقول. So he told them, there's a major dua. He told them, أخرجه البخاري, also in Al-Adab Al-Mufrad, which shows all the ahadith that are sahih, all the authentic hadith, all of the authentic hadith are not contained inside of only Sahih Bukhari, and not only in Sahih Muslim, not only in Abu Dawud. There are plenty of different books of hadith that the ulama of hadith, the muhaddithun, they gathered that contained authentic hadith, a hadith on the Prophet ﷺ, so that a person should not say, well, if it's not in Bukhari, I'm not taking it. Or if it's not in Muslim, I'm not taking it. Or if it's not in those 6 books, I'm not taking it. If the hadith is authentic, we act on the hadith. And this hadith is in Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. The Prophet ﷺ taught him this dua. He said, and yaqulu, that you should all say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bik and ushraka bik wa ana a'lam. He said, oh Allah, you should say, oh Allah, I seek your protection, that I will fall into shirk, that I will put partners with you, and I know that I'm putting partners with you. وَأَسْتَغْفِرُكَ لِمَا لَا أَعْلَمُ. And I seek your forgiveness if I put partners with you, and I don't know that I'm putting partners with you. If you know to seek Allah's refuge and His protection from falling into shirk at all, and that I know I'm doing it. And he also said, I seek your forgiveness if I fall into shirk and I didn't even know I was falling into shirk. And this is the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, and this form of shirk is khafi, is hidden, is small. Then he brings a hadith. He says, another thing that shows, he says, ta'ammad. A person should ponder and think about this hadith. Al-hadith al-ajib. This hadith is a serious hadith. When the Prophet ﷺ, he came, دخل عليه الصلاة والسلام, دخل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم على الصحابة وهم يتذاكرون الفتنة المخيفة العظيمة. He said he came in and the Sahaba were discussing the major fitna that's going to happen. Major fitna that the Sahaba were discussing. التي هي أشد الفتن وأخطرها وأعظمها. And they were discussing the fitna, the trial that is the most dangerous thing that's going to happen, and the greatest thing that's going to happen from the trials that is going to strike the ummah. He says, فَقَالَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِمَا هُوَ أَخْوَفَ عَلَيْكُمْ عِنْدِي مِنَ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. They were discussing the Masih al-Dajjal. They were discussing the Dajjal, translate the Antichrist. The Sahaba were just sitting discussing what's going to happen when the Antichrist comes. The Dajjal comes and has everything that goes along with that. So the Prophet ﷺ says, should I not tell you what I fear for you more? Should I not tell you what I fear for you more than the Dajjal? Qulna, same thing they said last time. Bella, of course. Bella, of course we want to know. The Prophet ﷺ says, should I tell you what I fear for you more than the Masih Dajjal? The Antichrist is going to come back and mislead people. Should I tell you what I fear for you more than that? Bala ya Rasulullah. Faqal al-shirk al-khafi. Hidden shirk. And he's telling this to the Sahaba. Those who were in the generation that the Prophet ﷺ said was the best of the generations. Khairun nas qarni. The best of people are my generation. He's telling this to the best of the generations, that I fear for you more than the Masih ad-Dajjal, shirkun khafi, hidden shirk. And then the Prophet ﷺ explained what is hidden shirk. And we have to be careful. He said, أَنْ يَقُومَ الرَّجُلُ يُصَلِّي, that a man stands and he prays. Hidden shirk, a form of shirk, according to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, أَنْ يَقُومَ الرَّجُلُ فَيُصَلِّي, that a man stands up and he prays. فَيُزَيِّنُ صَلَاتَهُ لِمَا يَرَى مِنْ نَظَرِ رَجُلٍ. So he beautifies his prayer based on another person watching him pray. The Prophet ﷺ said that this is a form of shirk. He said, shirkun ash-shirkul khafi, hidden shirk. A man stands up and he prays and he beautifies his prayer so that the people watching can see him beautifying his prayer. He says, هذا الذي خافه النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام على أمته. This is what the Prophet ﷺ feared for his ummah, for the ummah. That what? تزيين الصلاة من أجل نظر رجل إليه. That a person beautifies his salat for the simple fact that somebody sees him praying. So he wants to perfect and do all of the things in the salat, to beautify his salat, not because he's standing before Allah, but he sees somebody watching him. He says, or tazyin al-hajj, or a person does that in hajj. Or al-ibadah umuman, or any type of worship, that a person tries to perfect their worship, not only for Allah, but because someone's watching. And then he says, we'll stop after this. He says, وَهَذَا الْأَمْرُ صَارَتْ خُطُورَتُهُ فِي زَمَانِنَا هَذَا أَشَدَّ مِنَ الزَّمَانِ الْأَوَّلِ. He said, and this right now has become a bigger problem in our time now. Right now. لِمَاذَا? Why is that? He says, لِأَنَّهُ أَصْبَحَ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ يَحْمِلُ فِي جَيْبِهِ جِهَازَ الجَّوَالِ وَفِيهِ آلَةُ التَّصْوِيرِ. That you find most people now, they carry with them cell phones. With cameras on them. Cell phones with cameras. فَأَصْبَحَ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ فِي عِبَادَاتِهِمْ فِي الْحَرَمَيْنِ. So you find a lot of people in the Haramain, Mecca and Medina. Or في المشاعر وغيرها, or they go to some of the other places of worship in Mecca and Medina, or in outside of Mecca and Medina. He says, أكبر ما يهتم به التقاط الصور لنفسه الثابتة أو والمتحركة. The most important thing that they're worried about is not the ibadah, is that they get a picture of themselves doing that ibadah. He says, التي يهدف من ورائها أن يري الآخرين عمله. That the intent behind those pictures is to show other people that they're doing that worship. And the worship is for Allah Jalla wa Ala alone. He says, and this happens, and he goes on, but the point of him mentioning that is the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba that what he feared for the nation, the Ummah, more than the Dajjal, was a shirk al-khafi, and yakum al-rajulu, that a man stands and he beautifies his prayer based on someone else watching him. And this happens, it may sound extreme, but I remember walking into the haram for Maghrib at the Kaaba, and they're praying Maghrib in the Salat. Wallahi. They're praying Maghrib in the Salat. And I'm walking down the aisle, trying to get closer, and they're praying Maghrib, and there's a sister standing on the end of the rank, in Maghrib, in the Salat. And she's in the Salat with a phone in her hand, literally like this, recording herself, praying the Salat Maghrib. When I walked by, she looked at me. In Maghrib, in the Salat. It's mice, it sounds, it's going on. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, he said to the Sahaba that he feared hidden shirk, that a person beautifies or they does some act of worship more for the ummah than the Dajjal. Allah forgive us and protect us. Let me stop here until next week. Next week we'll go directly into the different, what is major shirk, what is minor shirk, and what is hidden shirk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.